This is a car from September 2019. So it's before I really started actively posting stuff on the channel. So this was an Abarth I bought, as I say, back in September. So it was a lovely Abarth. It was a 65 plate, 2015, and I bought it for the princely sum of £2,800 plus fees, obviously. It was only a cat-in, and it had done, I can't remember what the mileage was. It's a beard somewhere. No, it doesn't say, that's right, because reason being, it had no keys. As you can see, the wheels were locked like that, and when it came on the transporter, it was an absolute nightmare. It took nearly 4 hours to get it off the transporter. Luckily, I've got a very understanding transport guy and didn't charge me any more money, but it was a nightmare. So yeah, so it was light front damage. So we'll flip through the pictures. I'm going to give you some more pictures because I got the pictures and a couple of small videos, but not very much. But I just wanted to try and make a video out of the stills, basically. So it was light damage. We'll go through the stills from the high res stills that I've got anyway. But so yeah, so the estimated retail value was 8,200. It was a Trofeo or Trofeo, or wherever you pronounce it, special edition. So it wasn't stolen, recovered. Why it came with no keys, I never really found out why. But yeah, it was a good car. All I actually repaired was the front bumper. I put a new front bumper on it, and new radiator, and what else? I had to get the keys cut. I don't think there was much else. I'll go to the to my costs in a minute. I'll go to the costs at the end of the video, and you can see how much I spent, what I had to buy, and what I sold it for. So as you can see, these are the pictures that came from the Copart listing. As you can see, it's not in really bad condition at all. A nice yellow brake calipers all the way around, and a nice set of wheels on it. As you can see there, the airbag's gone. It had to have a new dash and a new airbags, as they'd all gone, and the windscreen had gone as well. So when I got it, I say I didn't know what lights were going to be on because the speedo was off, because we didn't have any keys for it. So the front bumper, as you could see there, was completely cracked. The wheels are in pretty good condition. Recoveryforcars.co.uk, I highly recommend them, my fella. There's a picture when the airbags all came out and I was swapping them over. Now that was the old bumper that was on it still. As you can see, it's not too bad. So the radiator condenser was okay, and the bars, as you can see, were very bent. But the radiator itself was holding water, so I thought, but it did actually leak. So as you can see, the windscreen was smashed there by the airbag deploying. So it was quite a shiny car, even though the obvious. So we had the new windscreen put in. Oh no, I did put a new condenser in as well as the radiator. That's right. I remember now. So this was a few months ago, and there it is in all its glory when it was finished. So it was a beautiful car in black. Obviously, a bit of a nightmare to keep clean, but it looked the part, and I got it for a good price. No damage on the back whatsoever. The interior, it was the basic 595 interior, which is a shame. I do like the leather seats. Had I been keeping it for myself, I definitely would have swapped them over for the full leather interior. But they're quite comfy seats. They're the same seats, it's just not the leather covering. So you see 33,318 miles when I got it. It was a nice car. It was a nice car. I've got some videos coming up in a second, which will show you one problem I had, which I'll explain shortly. We'll do a little video afterwards and explain what it was exactly that happened. It was a bit of a nightmare, but we soon got over it, and that's coming up in the next few seconds. So I've got a problem with the fuel sensor, stroke sender, stroke pump. That sits underneath this. So I've taken the rear seat out, and look, it's already been fiddled with. In fact, the wire's out. It's actually been disconnected. So I'm wondering if I reconnect that. That's why there's no bloody fuel getting through. Well, one of the possible reasons. That looks like a fuel line which has been pulled off, which is now back on, and that is an electrical plug. Why on earth would that have been taken off? Good question. Has there been anything else taken off? Don't know. Don't know if that's something supposed to go on there or not. Curiouser and curiouser. Don't look like there's any other pipes in there. I wonder why they've done that. I wonder if that was done after the accident or something. How bizarre. Let's try it now. You never know. So I've connected it all up as you saw on the last video. Started the engine and it started. But while I was doing that I heard a noise and it's pissed petrol everywhere. I don't know where from. Oh, it's that, it's come off. That's come off. Interesting. So it stinks of petrol in there now, and there's petrol in there, so I need to try and soak that up. So that pipe has come off. So I need to sort that out and figure out why that's happened. Curiouser and curiouser. Right, as you just saw in that video, the we didn't have any fuel going to the engine, so I took off that cover, or rather I didn't take off the cover. The cover was already off. We noticed that the fuel pump sender unit had the plug unplugged. Why on earth that was, I don't know. But whether it had been done by somebody after the accident, because the fuel cut-off hadn't come in, I don't know. But so I pushed the electrical connection on, I pushed the pipe back on, engine started, and all was good until I heard that noise, and I looked around and saw literally a jet of petrol pouring out. And what I discovered had happened, there was a little clip that was floating around afterwards. It was floating around in a pool of petrol, but it was floating around at the top of the sender unit. So when you push the pipe on, there's this little clip that you just sort of fit around it, which grips onto it. I think the pressure of the fuel coming up had just pushed the pipe off, and then by putting that clip on, it just holds it in place. So once that was done, and I mopped up all the fuel and got rid of the smell of the fuel inside the car, it was all good, and it all worked perfectly from then onwards. So I just wanted to explain that. I'm sorry that bit of the video was in portrait. As I say, that was something I just did for Facebook to show people. It wasn't ever intended to be on a YouTube video, but that's why it's in portrait mode. So that sorted that out. I hope you found those shots of the car interesting, and my little narration over the top of it might have been a little bit too quick, but you sort of get the gist of how the car was. The other day I recorded, I went through the costs, everything that I bought and the costs, so we're going to go into that now. But for the time being, that was the car, that was how we fixed it. And so we're going to the costs now, so hopefully that will shed some light on what it could cost to get yourself a decent Abarth like that. So I've just got it on my screen in front of me now. So I bought the car including fees. It cost me £3,194, which I thought was a really good price. I bought a new front bumper for it for £164. What I forgot to mention was the airbags had gone. So driver's airbag, seat belts, I think the seat belts, can't remember now, you know. So driver's airbag, knee airbag, passenger airbag, the usual stuff. So the dash, so I had to buy a dashboard kit, which I thought was a pretty good price for an Abarth one. Normally I pay around the £220 mark for a normal one. The dashboard kit for an Abarth, including the turbo gauge as well, although I didn't need that because I already had one, was £354. Delivery was £120 from Sandy, Copart in Sandy. I had to get I got a non-remote key cut to save some money, £130 that was. I had to get a headlight bracket kit, the repair kit, for £9.99. It needed a front top reinforcement bar. It also needed a bottom reinforcement bar. I had the bottom one, so it didn't cost me anything for that. Top reinforcement bar was £38.50. Yeah, battery was as dead as a doornail, so I had to get a new one of those. being an Abarth, it hasn't got stop start, so you don't need the EGM battery. So it was only £52, 78p. Radiator had a leak. Tried to repair it with red weld type stuff, but just as a temporary measure, because I had intended to keep it for a while, but it didn't work. So I slung a new radiator in it, which was £65.50, which is pretty good for an Abarth radiator, I thought. That was a brand new one, it was probably not an OEM one, but it did the trick. Air conditioning was fine. Didn't have any manuals or anything with it, so I bought a nice leather manual cover, which was £26.72. Didn't take me that long to do it because it wasn't really that much to do. I sold it for £5,300 and I made £1,143 profit on that, which I thought was pretty good. Could have sold it for more, but I wanted a quick sale because I wanted to move on to the next one. The person who bought it was thrilled with it. So yeah, £5,300 it was sold for, and a £1,143 profit. I was going to cut that out, but I'll leave that bit in. Warts and all videos. So yes, I hope that was all quite interesting for you, and you could see exactly what it cost to put that car right. So it was a really nice car. I sold it quite cheap, as you could see. Could have got more for it, but I just needed to move on and get the next one. So I'm always looking for Abarths, because the facelift ones, as you know, I've got the white facelift one, which is virtually done now, and I'm driving around in it. But they are quite expensive. But you can pick up a 2012, something like that, for pretty good money. I mean, that was a 2015, and I got it for what, less without the fees, it was less than 3,000. So that was a blinder of a price, and there wasn't that much work to do on it really. But you know, I think when you do get these cars, the same as the ordinary Fiat 500s, when you get the airbags that have gone, it scares people off. Although the airbag kit is slightly more expensive for the Abarth, they are available. But if you get an ordinary Fiat 500, you know, you'll pay around the £250 mark for a complete kit. They don't tend to come with the airbag ECU, but you know, you can get those reset, so that's not a problem. But yeah, I think it puts people off bidding. If I remember rightly, I was the only person that bid on it as well. I think it obviously went up to a certain level during the auction. Before the auction rather. When it came to the auction, I think that was the one that I was the only person that bid, so I got it for a blinding price. I passed on that saving to the person who bought it, and I'm sure they're still driving around in it really happy. They got it for a bargain price. A good £2.5 grand, certainly £2 grand under what it would have cost. Probably more than that, 2.5, maybe even up as much as £3 grand under what a book price would be for one that hadn't been damaged. Of course, you know, it was as good as I could get it. So that's the end of that video. Not great content, but I just wanted to show you what you can get, and something that I'd done before but didn't really film for YouTube. So we are now the only car apart from the Abarth which I've got, which is finished enough for me to drive around in. It's still got one or two things like I still want to get that new door on and so on, and the wing that's got a few slight little dents in, but I'm not too worried about that at the moment. When I come to sell it, which I will do, I'll obviously sort those out beforehand. But apart from that, the Sport is in the paint shop having the roof done. Don't know when I'm going to get that back, hopefully next week. The convertible went today, and I haven't got any more. That's all I've got. So I'm now looking for another one on Copart. There's not a lot around at the moment, to be honest. I've got behind a couple, but there isn't an awful lot around, so who knows what we're going to find next. I tend to try not to buy something just for the sake of it, because then you end up spending too much money on buying the wrong thing. So I might do a little video on the 500X, because I've got a couple of bits I've got to do on that. I've still got to sort the DAB aerial out on that, put a new one on, as the old one's faulty, and the reception cuts out. And I've also got to put part of the new back bumper on as well, which was broken when I got it, or stress fractures in it when I got it, and I bought a new bit and I've never ever got around to putting it on, so I might do that. I might film that for some content. I might even have a little drive around in the 500X as well, do a bit of content on that. I don't know if any of you are interested in the 500X. I love it, it's a really nice car. And I'm also going to do a little bit of driving around in the Abarth, but that's for other videos anyway, until we can manage to get ourselves another car. So yeah, so for the time being, I say this isn't a fantastic video. Hopefully it's been of some sort of interest, and once again, you know, as always, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. We're getting very close to our 1,000 now. I think the last count earlier on today, I think we were at 944 or something like that, so, or 954, I can't remember. No, what am I saying, 854. So we've got about 150 to go before we hit the 1,000 mark. So if you're a casual viewer, hit that subscribe button, so get us up to 1,000. So as I say, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.